Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to offer dana, then please do go to justthiszen.org/giving. Your support really does make a huge difference. Thank you so much.
I think last weekend was Thanksgiving for a lot of the people in America, so I hope that whatever you were doing was a source of some nourishment and connection, maybe. And last week in Suzanne's beautiful talk, she talked about bodhicitta and shared that really rich indigenous blessing and acknowledged the maybe paradoxical nature of somewhat of Thanksgiving. And I know for many people in the States it would have been a time of families coming together and appreciating and offering gratitude for the riches and abundance in their lives. And of course, you know, that version is only one version, and it's sometimes like it can be in the UK with Christmas. It can be what, in my mind, I call the Hallmark story. You know, the particular kind of characterization of something that's meant to be just lovely. And but I know in the States, Thanksgiving and is also a national day of mourning, and they're on the same day. And of course, for some families, it'll be about loss and deficit, not just gratitude and abundance. And it kind of led me a lot to thinking about how, if we looked outside of ourselves, we can see the damage that colonization has done to the world. You know, the way that whole cultures have been decimated and even eradicated. And coming from the UK, you know, I can't even begin to imagine the long history of our ruin of entire cultures, and the oppression and colonization of whole cultures. And it's a long time since we in this very small island have actually been invaded. But we've still managed to colonize areas of our own land. You know, you could talk to people in Ireland or Scotland or Wales or Cornwall, and they could all point to the imposition of a dominant culture. And when I'm thinking about this, I'm also thinking about it in terms of practice. And I'm saying it in terms of I'm really curious about the internalization of all the dominant cultures around us, the internal colonization that happens. And what kind of lands, what loves, you know, what values and what languages have we ceded to the ideas of who we should be? You know, what land, what internal geography have we given up to some notion of the dominant culture, whether that's come from, you know, immediate family or schooling or just where we were born, the time we were born in, where we are in the family. It's just so many intersections. And I wanted to start with a beautiful poem by Pablo Neruda, which I'm sure many of you will know, which is called "We Are Many." Of the many men whom I am, who we are, I cannot settle on a single one. They are lost to me under the cover of clothing. They have departed for another city. When everything seems to be set to show me off as a man of intelligence, the fool I keep concealed on my person takes over my talk and occupies my mouth. On other occasions I'm dozing in the midst of people of some distinction, and when I summon my courageous self, a coward completely unknown to me swaddles my poor skeleton in 1,000 tiny reservations. When a stately home bursts into flames, instead of the fireman I summon, an arsonist bursts on the scene, and he is I. There is nothing I can do. What must I do to distinguish myself? How can I put myself together? All the books I read, lionized, dazzling hero figures, brimming with self-assurance. I die with envy of them. And in films where the bullets fly on the wind, I'm left in envy of the cowboys and left even admiring the horses. When I call upon my dashing being, out comes the same old lazy self. And so I never know just who I am, nor how many I am, nor who we will be being. I would like to be able to touch a bell and call up my real self, the true me, because if I really need my proper self, I must not allow myself to disappear. While I'm writing, I'm far away, and when I come back, I've already left. I should like to see if the same thing happens for other people as it does to me, to see if as many people are as I am, and if they seem the same way to themselves. When this problem has been thoroughly explored, I'm going to school myself so well in things that when I try to explain my problems, I shall speak not of self, but of geography. Those incredible inner landscapes that we all have. You know, the many men, the many women that we are. And in the newly published book of Suzuki Roshi's teachings, he makes this statement. Just to be yourself is no problem whatsoever. I can't help but laugh at that one. Just to be yourself is no problem whatsoever. This is what is meant by just to sit. Do you love that? That it's no problem whatsoever? I've worked as a therapist for over 35 years now. And, and myself worked with me to try and figure out this conundrum. What does it mean, this actual being yourself? Pablo Neruda's poem calls out, I want to be this, and then this guy turns out. I want to be like this, but this person appears. What does it mean, when we've been colonized? We have been colonized by all the oughts and shoulds and coulds and must-bes of all these many cultures, families, siblings, schools, wealth, not wealth, in race, class, we've all been part of these overlapping circles of people telling us who and how we should be, including ourselves. Suzuki Roshi goes on to say, when your practice is not good, you're a poor Buddha. And when your practice is good, you're a good Buddha. Poor and good are themselves Buddha. Poor is Buddha and good is Buddha, and you are Buddha also. There's no need to translate it into English. No need to be bothered with fancy explanations of Buddhism. If you say Buddha, 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 that's the way. Everything is Buddha, sitting is Buddha, lying down is Buddha. Each word is Buddha. That's our way, that's Shikantaza. And for most of us hearing this, that is not news. How many times have you heard teachers say versions of this, just sitting, just this, this person, every person here sitting right now is an expression of Buddha. And for many reasons, and chief amongst them seems to me ideas that this me, this one, this one, can't be it. I love the phrase that enlightenment is ego's greatest disappointment. It's like, this? You're serious? We'll have ideas about all the ways that we fall short, and you'll fill in your own private lists, and mine would have, I'm too much, I'm too idle, I'm too scattered, I'm too imperfect to be this thing which I am deeming to be other than me. And it's always something other, and always somewhere else, and always some other time that isn't right now. And as I say that, it's like there's a part of me that's really kind of amused by that, and there's a part of me that's kind of brokenhearted by that. Really brokenhearted by how permanent a state this kind of delusion can be in. And that kind of thought led me to thinking about suchness, and how as I age, I kind of see the traits that I have and we have, persist over time. And even in impermanence, they persist. And I was talking with someone about what I was going to talk about tonight, and I remembered that a few months, well, it's a little while ago now, sometime, I was walking down the street I live on, and I was talking to Josh, and this person got out of a car. And as I was walking past, I was talking to Josh, and they said, "Trudy?" And I looked at them, and it was like, good Lord. And it was someone I used to room with 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And they recognized my voice and my walk. And as soon as they spoke to me, I recognized them. It's like, good Lord. The suchness of somebody. The persistence of these traits that go on through our lives. Even though every single blood cell, every single cell in my body is different. My blood is different. I've had 50 years of experience, and they recognize me from my voice and my walk. And I was thinking how in our practice, we might have, like, imagining if we were a car, we might send it to the garage to be fixed, or we might have the skills to fix it ourselves. And, we might be able to fix something in the car, for God's sake, put in some new brake pads, put in, get the CD system. Our car is currently the heating system doesn't work. It makes it really difficult to drive because of the moisture. So, you can get things fixed in the garage. Maybe that's the growing up part that Flint talks about in a way. But, you don't take your Dodge into the garage and get a Cadillac back. In the UK, you don't take your old Morris Minor into the garage and get back a Rolls Royce. You get back the same car. And it's a little bit like that. Please, it's great when we can make things run a little more smoothly. Or you might think, I've not even got a car, I'm just a bike. I'm not even a car. I'm just a pair of roller skates. I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, we're always going to be that. We're always going to be this thing we are. And all the ways that we are, this suchness that is an expression of the suchness of the universe. So suchness is it's about our essential nature, and it's also about the essential nature of life, tathata. It's suchness. The world has a kind of suchness to it, and we have suchness to it, to us. So then I was thinking about caught in the self-centered dream, the thing that we say over and over, caught in the self-centered dream. And I often think of that as kind of caught in the dream of self, caught in this dream, this fantasy of who we might be. And then we hold to those self-centered thoughts, we hold them pretty tight. The persistent attachment to the particular dream of self and the self we should or could be that we've constructed. What would it be like if we could, just as Suzuki Roshi says, just keep repeating Buddha, Buddha, Buddha? And so I'm also kind of interested my mind goes all over the show. I'm also really interested in how some of the neuroscience stuff is really kind of talking about this sense of who we are and what we focus on, changing our actual minds. So apparently, and I haven't been able to follow up this epigenetic study, so I don't know, I can't say if it's true. And in this world of not truth, it sounded possible. And in this epigenetic study, which is the study of gene and gene expression, they asked people for 10 minutes a day for 30 days to focus on a strongly related grandparent or ancestor, someone who they had a lot of, kind of like they knew about, someone in the family, oh, you're just like your granddad John, you play tennis like him, or you walk like him, or you're interested in music, whatever it was. And they asked them to focus on them for 10 minutes a day for 30 days and asked them to think about the traits that they would like to emulate. According to this study, the focus resulted in measurable changes in their gene expression. Measurable changes in their gene expression. I haven't been able to find the actual study because the person quoting it didn't talk about it, and I've looked but I haven't found it. But I was thinking about that. What happens when we offer ourselves metta? May this body be at ease. May my mind be boundless. May your mind be boundless. When we are calling into our being, our Buddha nature, when we're naming it and inviting it and calling the suchness of life into our expression in our daily lives, what happens? What happens? That's, if we think about bodhicitta as being our essential nature, and we're calling on that, is that a bit like ancestor that we admire? I don't know. I haven't seen a study on that one, but I am really curious about that. What happens in our bodies? Literally in our minds, when we are thinking, caught in the self-centered dream, we recognize is only suffering. Holding to these self-centered thoughts is exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, suchness as it is, opens us up to compassion's way, which is the expression of life. What happens when we actually allow that into our being? So when we say all these things, what's happening to our deep acceptance of ourselves as Buddha? To understand everything as an unfolding of the absolute teaching of the truth, the first principle. We're part of the great being of life. We are an expression of the suchness of life, however that looks, like in this body, in this moment. Whatever you do is the actual practice of Buddha. I think that's a really invigorating and exciting thought. So I wanted to end with two poems before we can meet. One's a Rosemary Watola Trauma, a fairly recent one, called Inside It All. Because other people know these truths. You don't have to be a student of the Dharma to know this, because this is what's true. Inside it all, it's called, beneath the masks, beneath the names, beneath ideals, beneath the shoulds, is a thrumming, ecstatic atomic swirl, unseen and omnipresent, inescapable and holy. A divine blurring of being, a realm of change and energy, most of it empty space. Sometimes, I remember this, perhaps walking in the woods or standing in the midst of a city's whir, perhaps working in the kitchen or singing in a choir, I remember who we really are. Remember, not with mind, but with being, and I'm lost in it, found in it, alive in the cloud of it, astonished with the sacred design of it, elegant soup of it, elemental swirl of it all. How is it I sometimes see only woman, man, cottonwood spider, self, other, other, other? We walk this journey of separation together. Oh, being who is lonely, remember? And then Raina Maria Rilke. Go to the limits of your longing. God speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks with us silently out of the night. Speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks us with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent out beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing, embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. So in this place, on this time, with all these beautiful Buddhas who sit here, it would be very grand to meet. Have Jess.
Thank you so much, Trudy. I'm quivering a little bit with so much moving. That was so much beauty and truth all at once, and it just met me exactly where I am, like a beautiful orchestra playing a music that was just for me, and I imagine others feel that way too. Um, thank you. I have so many thoughts moving about what you spoke about. And I loved your the lineage idea of tying ourselves back through bodhicitta. Um, I've done some lineal work in the IFS way. Um, and she asked us, find the ancestor that's whole and healed. Um, and I immediately went to the Buddha. I just was like, I'm going to go ahead and claim this as my lineage. And the
Yeah.
work was so powerful and it felt so healing to be able to do that. And so sometimes um, when I'm caught in the self-centered dream, like I have been quite a bit lately, I I, I just think about that connection.
So you're sticking it out there. It's a bit of a problem. What's it doing over there?
Yeah, get in here. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. I was saying to John Eric this morning, it's so hard to love some of these places,
Yeah,
and yet that's what's here, that's what's needed, that's what's coming, that's what's being called for.
absolutely. And the unhealed place is a Buddha, and the scratchy place is a Buddha, and the messed up places are Buddha. They're not waiting for you to be anywhere else.
Hmm. There's a blushing of my body so that my body is responding.
Mine too. Josh said, shall I turn the heating off so you don't go red? And I'm like, apparently it's the energy. It's like,
Yeah.
apparently I'll just glow. It's fine. So yeah, it's there. It's here. And it's not always comfortable and it's not always easy
Yeah.
because it's big.
Yeah. And I'm noticing in the relating right now, it feels held. There's a bigger space for it.
Absolutely. Always.
Thank you, Trudy.
Mm.
Hmm. I don't know what to say really. Just want to say Buddha, 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 Buddha to everybody. and I was noticing that for a while now I've had this sense of, Avalokiteshvara and Kuan Yin and Canon, what are the names for this deeply compassionate being, and that continuing sense that these eyes, these hands, it's not something else. It's not a separate being. And how we name things in ways so that somehow we can give it a name. Or an entity, we create an entity that we think is bigger than us and more than us. And it's us.
And the naming, because we are creatures that use language to communicate, it is an attempt, isn't it? But it really is that finger pointing at the moon thing. It's like, there's the moon and there's your finger. And we try and say things to connect. And if we're not careful, they disconnect us.
Or it creates something completely different,
Yeah.
which is not. I've always been fascinated by the way we use puppets and figures of ourselves, and create our story through something that we have to put out here in order to sort of, maybe it helps us to see something, I don't know, but but then we lose our own suchness, our own.
So it's like we need the mirrors, don't we? We need, people come forward in inquiry and offer, something so potent, and then if we're not careful, we can go, oh, I should be like that, or therefore I should be, I should be vulnerable like that, or confident like that, or whatever it is. It's like suddenly it's not us, and yet, so we need the mirrors. And then the talk I gave on Monday, about the Phantom City, is the parable of the Phantom City, and it's like we really need these places of rest, and we need to not live in them. We really need these amazing examples of people and Kuan Yin and all of those, but somehow we need to keep coming back to this. Today it looks like Lynn. Today it looks like Trudy.
Yeah. Whatever current manifestation. I tried to think what the right words are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your ability to speak these things from your heart.
Well, Thank you for letting me try in public. Rosemary.
Hello. So, thank you for your talk. And I'm just very, very triggered today. So I thought maybe it would be a good time to come forward and meet with you. It's really hard to say, what the thing or the things are. But, well, one thing is that my therapist of 25 years is retiring at the end of the month. And yeah, I didn't have a lot of notice, but so that's big. And yeah, and I'm thinking what to do, how to handle the next phase for me, and also the winding down with him. And a friend who's here, Chris, had suggested that I meet in person. We've been on the phone for about a year now. And he agreed, and I love that idea, and I'm glad that we will see each other.
Yeah.
It's really, and I'm struggling with being annoyed that I didn't have more time. But what would that do, really,
After 25 years, what would more time look like?
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, it's a season of loss for me. People in my family, it all kind of happened in the fall at different years, but so it's just shaky, and I'm gonna be crying here and there. It's just my sadness, maybe.
Yeah, and the sadness of that.
Yeah.
It is a time when leaves fall, and sometimes they're not ones you want to fall.
Yeah. I've been writing a lot.
Does that feel good?
It feels great. I mean, when I share it, that's when this happens. It's really hard to read it when I have a witness, but it's all really healing. And surprisingly, it's just, I didn't really know this about writing and writing with groups, that it helps you go deeper. And yeah, so I'm just not accustomed to how messy liberation can be.
I think perhaps you imagined it as other than messy.
Exactly. And that was Flint's word. I told him, during a intensive that was kind of like this, I said, yeah, my therapist is going to say how productive it was. He said, well, your Zen teacher is going to say how liberating it was. Yeah. So it's getting used to this, and yeah.
And cherishing this, not waiting for this to be over.
Yes. And fearing that, maybe that it won't. And realizing that it's not a solo journey. Yeah, I thank everybody.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
And this being messy doesn't end until we're dead.
That's somehow relieving. Because I don't have to expect to be so neat.
You really don't. really don't. You can have a beautifully wrapped up coffin, but you're not going to be beautifully wrapped up till then.
Messy Buddha.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming forward in a fragile place.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Chris.
Ah, hi. So one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking was the huge amount of spaciousness that you embody, you and Josh embody. And it reminded me of, oh, it's snowing so heavily out here. I'm going to show you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anyway, so it reminded me, last evening I was in my monthly Zen discussion group with a local group that I sit with, and we were talking about nature, and our relationship to being outside and experiencing things. And I told a little story, and I realized as I was telling it, I suddenly veered off into a very short but inconsequential story about it had nothing to do with what I originally wanted to talk about. And I caught myself and I came back and then after the talk our talk ended, our meeting ended, we had a great time. I was thinking, oh, why did I tell that story? What are they going to think? And
Mm,
are they going to think that I was, proud or whatever, showing off or something? And what I realized was that I was feeling this longing and this missing for a certain part of my life.
mm,
And because I didn't feel that I could say, I don't think it would have worked, but because I couldn't come right out and say that, it kind of spurted out, to the side,
yeah.
right? And I just thought,
Do you say it now?
yeah, I could actually. It was a longing for and a missing for something that probably will not happen again. And that was a period of time in my life when I lived with another person, kind of like two monks
Mm,
out in the country, you know, um, very secluded and, kept a real schedule, you know, for about 5 years.
mm,
That's not going to happen again, I don't think. But what I realized was the spaciousness, like that you just offered, actually, this moment. Um, and I think of you and Josh so much in that way that what you offer is that things that kind of ordinarily would come out in little spurts, or in little, you blurt something out that you didn't mean to. Um, how you make the space for that so that you can say, oh, I'm longing for that, or I'm missing that, or I loved that, I loved that piece. And it's really hard. It's really hard in everyday life to say things like that in
absolutely.
ordinary conversation.
And I'm just singing the poem I just read, Go to the Limits of Your Longing, is
Yeah.
what it's called, and how, we can, it's like, for me, it's like, what's the longing asking of me?
Yes.
What, I don't have an answer, but it's like, what's the longing asking of me? Because it's
Hmm.
really, I think they're to be cherished, our longings.
Right. Right. And sometimes it's just to be shared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
that period did something in your body, in your soul, whatever it was, that in the busyness of your life now, it's like a little bell trying to remind you of that.
Right. Right. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
remember peacefulness or remember spaciousness or,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I think for me, I've seen, in the work with clients and people, it's like we can neuroticize our longing, as belonging to the kind of damaged child or the, whatever. We can have a whole story about our longing, but I think when we really cherish it, it's pointing to something that is going to be, is a connection, is a connection. And it doesn't mean it has to be acted. I'm not suggesting longing for a trip in the Bahamas or, but those deep longings. I think they're like the Rumi poem. They are the love dogs crying in the night. They're what's calling us home. So I would wish us all to cherish our longings. So I think we can just come together and say together. And I love that idea that, sound never stops. It just kind of keeps going out into the universe. So what we can contribute is wholesome words. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is. Being just this moment, compassion's way.